What is good, everyone? I just got done watching the Nintendo Direct, and I feel like we got to talk about it. There was some cool stuff announced, and there was just kind of like a lot of, I always see these videos come out from other YouTubers, and like a lot of people will just completely bash the Nintendo Directs, and I'm not gonna do that. There's definitely a lot of stuff that was announced that was cool. And then there's some stuff that was announced that was just like, that's not for me. So let's go and start off with a few things. There's a lot of DLC being announced, so if you are a fan of any of these games, you're probably going to be pretty excited. They announced some Xenoblade Chronicles 3 DLC, so any Xenoblade fans out there might be really excited about that. I'm just not huge on DLC. I just kind of want to see like a new game. Maybe that's old-fashioned. I know DLC is definitely like, as in the last like 10 years or so, that's kind of like where everything's headed. They did announce some Dead Cells DLC for Castlevania, or for like a Castlevania DLC, I guess. I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool. Like, I'm not a huge Dead Cells fan. I actually haven't never played the games, but they do look interesting. I feel like I'd probably love them. So to see some like Castlevania style DLC going to that, I thought was pretty awesome. They announced some Splatoon DLC. I like the Splatoon games, but once again, just DLC is not for me. It might be for y'all, just not my thing in particular. Next up, there was some Mario Kart DLC. I think it was like Wave 4. You could play as Birdo, and they announced like a Yoshi track, so that's pretty cool. And then they announced some Fire Emblems Engage DLC. So once again, if you're a fan of any of these games, you might be interested in picking up some new DLC, a little bit more content for you, but if not, you probably just care about the main games that they've announced. So coming out July, they have Pikmin IV. Now the Pikmin games are pretty fun from the ones that I have played. I haven't played all of them, and I haven't beaten any of them. They're actually pretty difficult. But if you're a fan of Pikmin 1, 2, or 3, then Pikmin 4 coming out this July might be something that you're interested in. Bayonetta Origins. Now this game looks completely different than the Bayonetta games I'm used to. It looks more strategic, I guess, and I don't know. I kind of like when companies do something completely different than what you're used to. Kind of weird because, I mean, it's technically the origins of a different series. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but I thought it was kind of cool. The art style looked really awesome, so might be something I'll check out in the future. Probably not like a day one pickup for me, but still pretty interesting. Next up, we have a newer game called Deca Police, and at first, based off like the anime style animation, I was a little interested, but I kind of figured it was just going to be a game I didn't care about. And then they showed some of the actual gameplay, some of the action sequences, and honestly, it looked pretty interesting. I feel like this might be a game to pick up. Will it be a day one pickup? I don't know. Maybe it'll be a game that you pick up once it goes on sale, but either way, definitely going to keep my eye out for that one. Maybe check out the demo or something in the near future, but I believe the name was called Deca Police. So guys, you can never have enough 2D platformers. Coming out this July, you have a new Disney game called Illusion Island. You get to use Mickey and his friends, and honestly, it looks really, really awesome. I just love platformers. It's just, maybe it's like an old school thing or whatever, but just the Marios, the Donkey Kongs, even some of the other Mickey games are pretty fun. So this one definitely looks interesting. I got my eye out for it. Guys, next up, coming out soon, like within the next week or so, or not the week or so, I guess 2 weeks or so, February 24th, we have Octopath Traveler 2. Now the first game I've actually just recently started playing. I'm only about, I think 10, 12 hours into the game so far, and I am freaking loving it. I'm probably going to binge it a little bit more when I get done editing this video, but I'm really excited to beat the game and then eventually pick up the sequel. I'm probably not going to rush right into picking up the sequel, especially after, I don't know how many more hours I've got this game, probably 60, 80 more hours. I know this game is very grindy, very long, so I'm assuming the sequel will be just like it. But yeah, it looks awesome. Everything I've seen about the sequel looks just as great as the first game, so looking forward to that one. Guys, they also announced a Heart Katamari remaster, which is pretty awesome. I've only played one of the Katamari games, and it was the one that they did on the Switch. I think it was like a year ago or so, maybe a little bit less than that. And that one was actually really fun. And that one, I believe, was a port from the PS2 game, if I'm not mistaken. So it's cool to see them putting out a little bit more love into Heart Katamari. Guys, Sea of freaking Stars. Oh, these are the type of games I really, really look forward to, and this game is like a Super Nintendo style era turn-based RPG. It looks a lot like Chrono Trigger and other games like that from that era. It looks freaking beautiful. it could be the same type of story you get with every other turn-based RPG. Oh my gosh, the city's being attacked by monsters. Oh no, what will we do? Bam! Here's a hero. Boom. It is like the same story every time, and I freaking love it. I cannot wait to play this game. But we are going to have to wait a little bit. It comes out in August, which is not super far away, so definitely looking out for that one. And guys, I think one of the bigger announcements they had was the Nintendo Switch Online announcements, which were Game Boy games. I think I saw some Game Boy Color games being announced, and then also Game Boy Advance games. So little by little, they are starting to add more of these older retro consoles that we love, so it's really cool to see that. Some of the Game Boy games they announced: Tetris, we have Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, a great game, and then they also had Super Mario Land 2. I wonder why they didn't have Super Mario Land like the first one. It's kind of weird, but hey, Nintendo knows what they're doing. I guess they just like to pump these games out little by little. Alright guys, and then one of the other pretty big announcements, I would say, is the Metroid Prime Remaster. Now, I could have swore during the Direct they mentioned all 3 games were going to be remastered, but it sounded like they're just announcing the first game for now, so maybe they're just going to do them one by one, which is kind of smart and also kind of pushes Metroid Prime 4 a little bit more. They didn't announce anything about that, which is weird because they mentioned something about it like a freaking year ago, and now I feel like they're going to remaster these games first, and then after that, you know, maybe make sure there's enough interest in the Metroid Prime games, which I feel like there is, and then bam, hit everybody with Metroid Prime 4. So, looks pretty awesome. I mean, I've definitely played the original, and something about just having like a remastered version of that, especially on the Switch when it's more portable, is just a little bit nicer in my opinion. Let me know below if that's something that you are going to be picking up. Next up, a couple more remasters. They have the Baton Kaitos. I think I pronounced that correctly. There's 2 games that they had on the GameCube, and they're bringing those over to the Switch. They're not ports, they're, well, kind of ported in a way, but they're remasters, so they make the graphics look a little better. Sometimes they add a couple things here and there, but if you're a fan of those games, kind of cool to see that along with just other GameCube games in general getting remastered over for the Switch. I wonder if we're going to see like more actual GameCube games become announcements in the future for the Nintendo Switch Online. I feel like that could happen, but Nintendo, I feel like, is also going through all the games that they want and just like remastering them instead, which they can charge way more money than just, you know, adding it to your Nintendo Switch Online subscription. So it is what it is, but still kind of cool to see it happening. And y'all, I think the last thing that they announced, well, it's not really an announcement. We already have known about the release date, May of this year. We have Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It looks freaking amazing, but they did show a little bit more gameplay. They announced a collector's edition, and then they also announced a new Link amiibo, which looked awesome as well. So let me know, guys, if y'all are going to be picking up any of these games on day one. I feel like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is something I could see myself picking up on day one. I'm usually very, very picky when it comes to day one releases because obviously it's just going to cost way more. If you wait like a month, the price almost always goes down. Zelda and Mario games, a little different, but those games do become discounted at some point, and then honestly, sometimes even locally, like Facebook Market, people play through these games and then they just want to sell them real fast at like half the price. So if you don't mind waiting, you'll save a little bit of money, but there's certain games I feel like you just gotta play on day one, and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is definitely one of those games I could see myself picking up. Y'all let me know what you thought about the Nintendo Direct. Is it, you know, something you cared about? Did you think it was kind of whatever? Do you care about any of the DLC? Do you care about the new Link amiibo they announced? Let me know below. I love hearing from you guys. Y'all, hit subscribe if you're new here. Till next time, peace.